Hey everyone. So Tampa Bay won again last night against Washington. They're now won three in a row against the Capitals. They've come back from being down 2 games to none to now being up 3 games to two. They won the all important game five. They are now one win away from the Stanley Cup final. Last night was also the first time the home team has won all series long. Um, and the Lightning look really, really good, but Washington, man, I don't know if you can call this one a choke. Everything has always been Washington chokes in the playoffs. It's what we've seen for the last 20 years. They always choke in the playoffs. They never got past the second round. They finally got past the second round this year. So that's a huge plus for them and a big improvement. Now that they're losing to Tampa Bay in the conference final, but is there really any shame in that? Like, Tampa Bay is an extremely good team, too. I actually expected Tampa Bay to win this series, so this is still, I think, a successful season for the Capitals and a step up from what they have been doing in the past. But they also had a 2-0 series lead, and that's what makes this feel like a choke. Like, if Washington just came out and say they, I don't know, lost in 5 games to Tampa, I wouldn't even call that a choke. That's just getting beat by the better team. I think Tampa is without a doubt the better team in this series. They've got the better defense. They've got more forward depth than Washington. I think Tampa Bay is the better team by far. Maybe not by far, but they certainly, I think, are. And so it wouldn't be a choke for Washington just to lose to Tampa. There's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. But they got off to a 2 games to nothing lead. They stole first 2 games in Tampa Bay, and now they're blowing it, and that feels like a choke. Even though that they're not the better team, even though I didn't expect them to win this series, that feels like a choke because they got off to such a good start. If they had come out of Tampa Bay 1-1 and then Tampa went on to win, that's fine. If Tampa took a 2-0 series lead and went on to win, that's fine. But the fact that Washington got out to a 2 games to nothing lead and now has lost 3 straight, it feels like a choke. And even though they've been much better these playoffs than they have been really in the last 20 years, they've made it further in these playoffs than they have in the last 20 years, this series feels like playoffs Capitals. The old playoffs Capitals, not this year's team. Um, it's not even like they're playing bad. I mean, last night they had one bad period. They were awful in the first period. And after that, they actually, I think, had the better of the play in the second and third. But but they got themselves in a hole early. They got down 3-0, and that it's hard to dig yourself out of that. But it's not even like they've been playing bad, but they just cannot pull out some of these wins. Vasilevsky has stolen some games for Tampa Bay in this series, and it could easily be 3-2 Washington right now. It could easily have been a 5-game series win for Washington, especially after getting out to a 2-0 lead. But that's not what happened. Tampa has won the past 3. Tampa has all the momentum now. They're going into Washington for Game 6, which is a must-win game for the Capitals, or else they're out. Tampa is 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final. They've already won twice in Washington. This feels like a choke, even though it probably shouldn't. Going into this series, it was like, all right, the Capitals made it into the conference final. They've made it. They've done better than they have in the past 2 decades. This is a successful season for them. They finally got over the second round hump. Like, they didn't choke these playoffs. They're not the chokers anymore. They're not Chokington anymore. Well, they still feel like Chokington, even though I don't want to call it choking because I expected them to lose in I expected them to lose to Tampa Bay, but not in this way. I thought, if they split the series and then it was like 2-2 and they just alternated wins and then Tampa ended up going on to win it, that wouldn't be a choke to me. But the fact that they got a 2-0 series lead and then have lost the last three, makes it seem like a choke. And it seemed like this was a series where no matter what, Washington wasn't the chokers anymore. They no matter what happened, they were gonna consider this a successful year, and somehow they have managed to take that sentiment and turn it into making me feel like they're choking again, because of the great start that they got off to, and now they've completely blown it. And we'll see what happens the rest of this series. I mean, Washington can still win this series. They've already won 2 games in Tampa Bay. If they can win at home finally, which they haven't been able to do much of in these playoffs, but if they can finally win at home, then that they're going back to Tampa for a Game 7, and anything can happen in a Game 7. We all know that. So Washington can still win this series, but if they don't, and it looks a little grim right now, is this a choke or not? It kind of feels like a choke to me. Even though it shouldn't feel that way, and they've been better these playoffs than they have at all in the past 20 years, it still feels like Chokington. The Chokington Chokers are back again, it seems. And it shouldn't feel that way, but it does, because they have lost 3 straight. They got off to a 2-0 lead, and they've completely blown it. And that just seems very old playoff Capitals thing to do. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this still a successful season for Washington because they got over the second round hump finally? Or is this another choke job just in a later round this time? To me, it feels like another choke job, but just in a later round than when they usually do it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are in the description below. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Almost to 150 subscribers, so let's get there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.